Say okay, bonjour everybody. Hello and welcome to another fabulous Tuesday. And it has been a busy few weeks. We have been doing Sisters in Spirit last weekend, Boat Gigs. The Orange Shirt Day event was the weekend before. It's been kind of a whirlwind of events and emotions. And then we're also doing Justice for Jackie, which is a march for Jacqueline Crazy Bull, who we lost on the streets of Calgary oh my gosh, it was like 12 years ago. It was so long ago. And we're still striving for justice for her family. So that's where we'll be this weekend. I'll post it. And want to get clarification from the family. I believe we're starting the march at 12 o'clock at St. Mary's. That's the church that's on 16th Avenue Southwest. So it's, or no, sorry, 18th Avenue. So 17th, there's that kind of like big park, and then there's that big, huge church in like the mission area right behind it. So you can't miss it. It's not far from the high school down there, Western Canada High School, but I'll post all the details as I get them, as I put them out there. So wonderful. Thank you so much for, it was so good to see so many faces and there were so many voices and the drums together on the weekend. As I miss that, I miss that sense of community and that sense of support that everyone has for each other and that love that everyone has for each other. And we know that we're going through some really challenging times right now, but just that moment where we can connect deeply with these people that we only see sometimes once a year for these events, it still gives us that sense of community and that sense of belonging and that sense of family. And so I was very, very thankful and humbled to be able to be a part of that and be able to bring everyone together in a good way. I think sometimes we look at everything and think, what can I do? But sometimes it's just something as simple as holding space for someone or listening to someone or sharing someone's stories, because you don't know how it's going to impact someone else's life or change their opinion or change, what they do in their everyday lives. And so it's just a blessing to be able to bring people together like that. And so just to welcome everybody today, I always like to start by acknowledging the land upon which we stand, because if you don't know where you are, you don't know where you're going. So this is the home, we're in Mohkinstsis. We're in the home of the Treaty 7 people. Mohkinstsis is, it means elbow, literally. It's where the Elbow River and the Bow River come together. And there's something so powerful about being along that crux where they both come together. You can feel the energy joining up there. There's something very magical and spiritual and connective down there, even being slightly close to it. There's this energy downtown because it is right in that crux and that whole, like that heart of Mohkinstsis. And it's such a blessing to be able to do so many things here and to be able to live here now, even though my family's from Treaty 6. I am Cree, Anishinaabe, and Métis, rocking the Métis sash. But this has been my home, and it just has always felt like my home. I've lived in Edmonton before. I've stayed down in Muskeg, but there's something about Calgary. There's something very magical here. I think every city has a different energy. Every city has a different pull, and this has just been so much my home, and I am so thankful. I'm so thankful to the Blackfoot from Siksika, Kainai and Pagani. I have friends from Siksika and they've taught me so much. So friends from Kainai and they have taught me incredible things. And my friend from Pagani, I mean, my gosh, Stephanie has just brought me to tears on so many occasions with just her strength and her perseverance and her grace. And I'm so humbled for all of the people out here who make Mohkinstsis what it is, all of the Blackfoot. I honor everyone from Tsutsuna. Tsutsuna has showed me, like, there's medicines right at our fingertips. It showed me about really connecting to the land in a gentle way. And I'm so thankful for my teachers out there. I honor the people from Morley, from the Stoney Nakoda Nation. I honor Chiniki, Bearspaw, Wesley, because those nations have shown me what, really standing up for what's right in your community is all about. They have so many different things going on, and sometimes they get lumped together, but they still have this sense of three different nations, and that's so beautiful to see. It teaches us about that independence and that spirit that we need to have, that we are our own being, even though we are part of a community. And so we have to defend that sometimes tooth and nail to really honor and acknowledge, where we're from, the blood that runs through our veins, and really stand up for what's right within our own communities. Because especially when we look at politics, there's a lot of people making decisions in Ottawa, but they don't know what our experiences are here. They don't know what people's experiences are on reserves, and every reserve is different. Every nation is different. People who are urban, I say urban Indians, but people who are in an urban setting, they have different needs as well. And we can't paint everyone with the same brush. And so this is why when we acknowledge the land, we have to acknowledge every single nation, every single person in those nations. And even then, there's different societies, there's different families, there's different teachings. And so it's such a blessing to be able to be here, to be able to experience all of those things. And I would say take a buffet approach to spirituality, because you never know when something you hear from another nation or something you hear from a different belief system will really resonate with you. And it's such a gift to be able to experience that on a daily basis and learn from so many incredible elders and knowledge keepers and community members. And so it's a blessing. I also honor Métis Region 3. So this is why I always wear my Métis sash, to honor that bridge between Indigenous and non-Indigenous people. It's a lot of responsibility sometimes, because you feel like you're always in this weird gray area as someone who's Métis. But I think it's really about acknowledging all of our ancestors and how we're all here now for a purpose, for a reason. And as that bridge between nations, sometimes you can bring people together in a better way. And so that's really how I view the teachings behind being Métis. And I know there's so many of us that are reclaiming that sense of not all or nothing, but that in between, that comfortability that comes from being in between, and your ability to touch so many different people. And so I'm very, very thankful for those gifts, and I'm very thankful for a lot of my Métis mentors out here. There's so many wonderful Métis elders and Métis knowledge keepers, and just incredibly inspiring people, especially the artists. Honestly, I have to give it up to all of the Indigenous artists here in Mohkinstsis, because there are so much incredible, powerful works. There are incredible stories. There are incredible pieces of art that just, they take your breath away when you see them, or when you hear the stories, or when you hear the music, and you see what we can create when we're even given a little bit of opportunity. And so I think that's truly what we need to think about when we acknowledge the land. We have to think about our place, and what opportunities are we giving to those that have had those opportunities taken from them. It's really about reinvigorating, the energy that was already here, but giving it a voice and giving it a place, but honoring how we learn from it. What is our relationship to the land? What is our relationship to each other? What is our relationship to treaty? Which is a promise. It was a promise to come together, to share the land, to learn from each other, and to grow together. And we're finally seeing that come back. We're finally starting to see those agreements being honored. I mean, baby steps, but we're getting there. We're getting there. And so just to welcome everybody into the circle today, I wanted to share with you the Cree Welcome Song. I love to share this song, and it's always been an inspiration for me to sing this song. When I first learned it, it just resonated with me so deeply, because I could hear the circle being spread, the circle being opened to everyone. It's almost like you could see everyone standing together in that circle. And it's such a blessing to be able to share this song. I honor the Nataha family from Sturgeon Lake for keeping this song and the story of this song alive, because for so many years we couldn't speak our languages, we couldn't share our songs, we couldn't share our stories. And this is why it's such a blessing to be able to do it now, and to be able to see all of those things coming back, whether it be in the elders or in the youth. It's so inspiring that we're in the time that we're in now. Even though things are crazy, you have to look at the great things that are happening all around us. That reclamation of culture has been such a huge impact and aspect of healing. And I think we can do that all together as one nation. And so the song really does honor that. It teaches us that. It teaches us that every voice in the circle is valuable, that everyone has something to contribute, from, you know, the smallest little baby, who babies can teach us a lot. I mean, definitely a lot about patience, but yeah, about not taking ourselves too seriously, about curiosity, about learning. Babies can teach us a lot, but also the wisest elder has so much to give as well. And everyone in between has different things that we can share. And that's really what this song honors. It honors everyone in the community and how we can learn from each other and grow together. Um, and so Mia Sin, which is the Cree welcome song, and we sing it rounds of 3 instead of rounds of 4, which we normally do. And that's to keep the circle open and welcoming, so everyone completes the circle today. Again, because it reminds us that we're all equal. No one is greater or less than anyone else in the circle, just like in the Hoop of Life. And so we need to honor each other for those differences. And so when we sing it, it's really about honoring everyone and opening space to everyone, opening our hearts to everyone without judgment. But just acceptance, and knowing that we want that acceptance as well. We don't want to be judged. And so why would we do that to someone else? And so Miasin, the Cree welcome song, it means not only welcome, but also beautiful. I'm going to stand up to sing. I haven't sang today yet, so I'm not warmed up, but we'll see what happens. Miasin, miasen, hasemina, hasemina, epetakote, niwagomagan, hota, homa, kitaskino, miasen, miasen, hasemina, hasemina, epetakote, niwagomagan, hota, homa, kitaskino, miasen, miasen, hasemina, hasemina, epetakote, niwagomagan, hota, homa, kitaskino. Hi, and welcome to the circle today, everybody. And thank you for that great comment, Michelle. So, before we get started, I always like to smudge just so that we can get in the right space. And there's no right or wrong way to smudge. It's whatever feels good to you. So I'm going to take off these beautiful earrings. I should have been wearing these on the weekend. They're these really beautiful little red dresses that I got out in Musquecheese, and I was really, really thankful that I found them, and they're just lovely. But for some reason I couldn't find them this weekend, so I just wore my medicine wheels instead. But yeah, when I found these, I was just like, oh, they're so perfect for all the work that I do with murdered or missing Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit. And so, yeah, it's a blessing to find these cute little wonderful earrings. They're just stunning. And to think that someone has beaded them, that put that time and that effort and energy. And I think sometimes when we see jewelry, we forget how much time and effort in creating those pieces I think especially now with like our fast fashion mentalities and society, it's really difficult to think of somebody actually piecing things together. And so when we see those pieces, we really have to take the time to understand it does take a lot of time to make them. I do not have the patience to bead. I make drums. That's what I do. I've been attempting to try and bead, and I'm like, No dice. It's a little tough. But I'm also like, let's get things done. And so it was hard for me to like actually sit down and take the time to, set out all the beating stuff, make sure nothing rolls off the table, make sure my cat doesn't sleep across it. So I'm always in awe when I see people creating things and beating, and just the amount of like fine details that it takes to be able to do that. So I are all of those wonderful artists that do that. And I think by calling them crafters, it almost cheapens what they do, because it's not. It's an incredible art form that has lasted for thousands of years. And so we have to really honor, those roots, where it's come from, but also how it's still here, and just the creativity that has been poured into it. So I honor that. I honor my earrings every time I wear them. I'm like, I love these. I tend to pick up a lot of stuff in Musquechies though, but it's because it's really awesome out there. But so today, of course, I'm gonna lay out. I always lay out all of my medicines, and so we have the sweetgrass in the east. Oh, it smells so good. My whole car smells like sweetgrass right now because I have 150 braids that I drove back from Grand Prairie with them in the back. And so my whole car is just like, as soon as you open it, you're like, oh, it smells so good because it smells like sweetgrass. So I've got lots of sweetgrass. So I honor the sweetgrass in the east. That's our mind. That's probably why you're just like, when you smell sweetgrass, because it does. It just calms your mind. It puts you into this really like happy, warm place because it smells like cinnamon or vanilla or I don't know. My son's like carrot cake. I think it smells like marshmallows. My other son is like, it smells like vanilla ice cream. Some kids think it smells like churros. So it smells a little different to every person who smells it, but it really has that beautiful sweetness to it. And it does, it brings us back to this place of childhood, those fresh baked cookies, or whenever you get excited about, a birthday party with cake. It's that joyfulness that comes with that sweet sensation, that sweet scent. It honors, it's the children's medicine and the sweetest medicine. So it's also the men's medicine, because it's in the East and it's associated with grandfather son. Not men specifically, but it's the masculine medicine. And so when we look at the medicine wheel, it's all about balance. We have the feminine in the East, or in the West, the masculine in the East. We have grandfather sun in the East. We have grandmother moon in the West. We have the fire in the East, and we have the water in the West. So it's always about balance. And just, again, these are just my teachings. And so if it makes sense, awesome. If you can use them in your life in a good way, please do. Or if they don't resonate with you, that's okay, because there's so many other elders and there's so many other nations that have their own teachings, and something is going to work in your life, because it's not about dictating and it's not about being right or wrong. It's about understanding what works for you on your own path. And it's just different. There's no right or wrong. It's just different. It's just different ways that we relate to the earth. It's different ways that we relate to the medicine wheel. And even the medicine wheel is going to differ from person to person. But the overwhelming theme of it is it's balance, it's healing, it's how do we need to get that healing for those different aspects of our lives, and how can we honor every aspect of our being. And so when we look at it, there's always the four directions. So there's east, south, north, west, and then there's of course the fire, the water, the air, the earth. There's the times of our lives, so our childhood, our adolescence, our adulthood, and then our elderly years. And then there's the parts of our very being. So we have our mind, we have our physical body, we have our heart, and then we have our spirit that kind of fuels the whole thing. And so it's really about acknowledging that balance, and how can you reach that balance? How can you understand that balance? And how can you bring that balance into your life for healing? Because that's what the medicine wheel is. And so even the medicines on the medicine wheel can change depending on where you're from, or, what you need at any given time. Like, for example, there is this beautiful, beautiful mushroom. Oh, I forgot. I got strawberry vines. I'm so excited about that. So this is this beautiful mushroom. This is just a piece of it, and it smells amazing, but they use it to smudge up north because they don't get a lot of sage like we do, really, really far up north. And the sage growing season is quite short, although I'm watching as sage is starting to creep further and further and further up north. So it's really interesting how our world is changing, and the medicines are going where they are needed in accordance with how the world is changing. But yeah, this it is a mushroom. It's a fungus, and it grows on the side of trees, just like shagag grows on the side of birch trees. This is a little bit different, so it grows a little bit further up north on a lot of evergreen trees. So that's where they would harvest it, but it takes a really long time to grow. So you would wait until it would tell you it's ready. So when it's ready, it actually will fall off a tree. And then that's how you'll know it's ready. So you would oftentimes, elders would walk every day along this path, and then eventually, if it was time for a particular ceremony, that mushroom would fall off the tree because it was time. And so it would fall off at different seasons depending on what medicines it was needed for. Just like cedar, it changes smell and it changes its like what medicines are strongest in it depending on the season it's picked in. It's the same thing with this mushroom. So it'll fall off the tree depending on, you know, when it falls off the tree, what season it falls off the tree. That's what ceremonies you need to use it for. And so it's really amazing how plants will tell us how to use them or when to use them. So that being said, I'm going to go back to sweetgrass, which of course is in a braid, and each strand has 7 blades of sweetgrass to honor the 7 generations. The teaches us to think always 7 generations behind. What did my ancestors do to bring me here? And am I honoring everything that they did? And then 7 generations forward. What am I doing to leave a better world for my future generations? Am I making a mess for them to clean up, or am I actually helping them out? And so when we make decisions like that, we make way better decisions. So whenever I'm trying to make a challenging decision, I'll often smudge. When I was looking for my home, this home, I would have a 4 direction smudge every day before we would go house hunting, before I would look at advertisements online for homes, because I wanted to make sure that I found the home that was really for us, that resonated with us. And so it's amazing how even setting that intention, you can find exactly what you're looking for, because sometimes it's right in front of our face. But yeah, sweetgrass really does help with those decisions. It helps with our mind. It helps with anxiety. Whenever I'm, you know, really, really stressed out, or even sometimes when I just can't sleep at night, I'll burn sweetgrass and it calms my mind. Or sometimes I'll just have sweetgrass in my tea. It's pretty bland, but it's really good for just calming my nerves enough so that I can sleep. It's also really good for learning disabilities. So, or when you're trying to study in general. So my son's going to university right now. Whenever he has a big exam that he's studying for, right now he said he had to like cram because he had to get this project done, and so his room smelled like sweetgrass last night because he was like up really late doing his project. But it really does help just with focus and just calming the mind enough so that you can focus, which is great. It's good for Alzheimer's as well, and dementia. The next medicine that we have in the south, again, just Ujikri teachings. This is cedar. This is lovely, lovely cedar. And this is tiny cedar. It's so small compared to my other cedar, because it's just from a different type of tree. Let me pull up my other cedar, which is in here. So this cedar tree is a little bit bigger that it got pulled from, and it just grows in a different place. So yeah, so that one's a little bit bigger. But they both are jam-packed with antibiotics. They're antifungal, antiviral. They're an antihistamine. So if you have coughs, colds, sneezes, I drink a lot of cedar tea. Usually the transition time between spring and the transition time in the fall, that usually gets me pretty good. Like as soon as the leaves start to fall and all that dust kicks up, I get like the worst allergies. And so cedar tea is just my friend. Whenever I get to scratch my throat, always cedar tea. It has a really cool numbing agent too. You can really tell when you chew on it because it numbs parts of your tongue, but when it really does soothe your throat. It's but it doesn't taste the best. Some people really like the taste. Me, not so much. It's kind of like Buckley's. It tastes awful, but it works because Buckley's has cedar oil in it, which is awesome. The medicine that we will be smudging today is in the west. Smudging with today, I can talk. And of course, this is sage. The beautiful thing about sage, this is the women's medicine, so it's universal. Anybody can use it at any time. If a woman is on her moon time, it's safe to use this medicine. And those are just Cree teachings. There's some nations who say when a woman is on her moon time, she's too powerful, she can't smudge at all. My teachings are if a woman is on her moon time, she can smudge with sage at any time. But sweetgrass being the men's medicine, sometimes that female energy is overwhelming to that medicine. And so if it's your own personal braid of sweetgrass, it's used to your energy, so you can use it at any time. But if it's someone else's, you're gonna kind of opt out, and it's not anything wrong with you. Is that you're always already going through a ceremony, so why double up? And same with going to mixed ceremonies, because that energy, you're just this abundance of energy, and so all of the ancestors want to come and talk to you because you're so open going through a double ceremony. So we just step away because of that reason. This is buffalo sage, or also called buffalo grass. It grows in a lot of the prairies, all over the prairies. And like you said, it's starting to creep further and further and further up north. So it's good to pick. I picked a lot this summer, but it's almost gone. All the stuff that I picked this summer is almost gone. And I went out picking 5 times. So the fact that it's almost gone, I'm like, oh no. But it hasn't snowed yet, so I'll see if I can go up and pick one more time before the season's done. Of course, I say that, and it's probably going to snow the day that I decide to go. But yes, this is buffalo sage. Oh, it smells so good. It's interesting because it doesn't really smell like much until you pull it off the stick and then you roll it in your hands, because it unlocks all of those oils. It smells so good. I just love the smell of it. But we used to be able to rub it on ourselves for like bug repellent, because it has almost like a minty smell to it, and so that, and mint is really good for like keeping off mosquitoes, black flies, horse flies. Different kinds of sage are good for different things. Like alpine sage is good for ticks, keeping ticks off. Desert sage or white sage is really good for kicking or taking off sand fleas, like keeping them off. And so everything is there for us. Everything that we need is all around us if we know what to look for and where to look for it. But also, we remember to always honor the things that are gifted to us. So really giving things back to the earth before we take anything, and making sure that we're only taking what we need. We're always leaving the roots of the plant in the ground. That's pretty standard practice. So that being said, a little bit about the women's medicine. Sage being the women's medicine, it's connected to our emotions. It's connected to Grandmother Moon, and Grandmother Moon, she governs the tides. She pushes the tides in and out, so it's all about the water. And when woman is in her moon time, she's syncing up with the moon, right? So every 28 days we have our moon cycle, and so this is why it's called our moon time, because it's connected to the moon. But also, this is why everybody gets a little bonkers around a full moon, and that's because our bodies are mostly water, and think of the amount of pressure that Grandmother Moon's putting on us. But it also teaches us about honoring our emotions, honoring our heart medicine, because that's truly what connects each and every one of us. We need our emotions to build strong communities and strong families, and just that wisdom that it carries to be able to honor your tears. That's such a blessing. This is why we have tear ceremonies. We hardcore ugly cry, because sometimes we have to release those things, because if we hold it in, it's just going to build up and build up and build up, just like water. You can't hold water in for too long, because eventually it's going to burst. It's going to spill. And so it teaches us that our emotions are like that. So honor them, because they're actually our greatest strength. And sage helps us to do that. The last medicine is sweetgrass. I love sweetgrass. Or no, I'm tired. It's tobacco. This was gifted to me from the all-girls school. I love it. I'm just so thankful whenever I get gifted with tobacco, because it's just saying thank you from, their spirit to my spirit. It's such an honor, because it's just a spiritual gift. It's a spiritual medicine, so it's not like a physical medicine. Like cedar's a physical medicine you can use for pretty much anything. This is a symbolic, it's a spiritual medicine. So we pray with it. We gift it to people to say thank you, but we don't actually use it with our physical bodies. We don't breathe it in, we don't smoke it, we don't drink it, we don't put it in like thing like with oil or anything like that to rub it on our skin, because it's actually not meant for us. It's meant for us to pray with, but it's not meant for us to consume in any way. And so when we gift it to plants, for example, because we always give something back before we take it, the plants, actually, the really wonderful thing about tobacco is it keeps bugs off. Because it's not healthy for us, it's not healthy for a lot of living things. It actually has toxins within it that will keep off bugs. It'll help that plant grow back as well, because it has phosphorus, potassium, and nitrogen. Actually, it has all of those building blocks of creating life for plants, which is great, and nurturing and honoring and fertilizing that soil. So it's great. So this is why we always give tobacco back to the plant, or whatever we can manage at the time. So sometimes we don't have tobacco, we have other things to give, whether it be part of our hair or water or a gift from ourselves that we can give back to the earth. There's always things that we can give. And it's just really about honoring the relationship that we have. It reminds us of that sacred relationship that we have, you know, with Creator. And so we honor that. So there's tobacco. That's spirit medicine. And even if I'm not using all my medicines, I'm always leaving them all out. And so when we smudge, there's no right or wrong way to smudge. It's just whatever feels good to you. And just a quick little look at my smudge bowl. So, oops, as it's rolling off, I have a stone in the center there. It's just to protect the bottom of my smudge bowl. So the bowl itself is water, and I use a shell because that's what I was taught, and that's what I was gifted. Some people will use a hollowed out stone. Some people will use those cute little like cast iron pans. They're so cute. But everybody has different teachings behind it. I know an elder who just uses a wooden box with sand in it, and that's what he uses to smudge. And then when he's done, he just pushes it down into the sand, and he waits for it to cool before he puts it away. And so everybody has different ways of smudging, but it's really just using what works for you. Again, not right or wrong, just different. And so the shell itself represents water, which is our heart. When we put the medicine in, it represents earth, because it grows from the earth and it connects to our body. When we light it on fire, it represents fire, which is connected to our mind. And then the smoke is connected to the air, which is Creator. So we have all 4 directions in the smudge. And when we smudge, there's no right or wrong way. It's just whatever feels good. It's asking and setting those intentions. I know sometimes when you use the word prayer, people get a little wonky about it, but all prayer is setting intention. All it is asking for the things that you need in your life and getting rid of the things that you don't. And so really just be cognizant of your thoughts. And if something is bothering you, just let it go. Get rid of it. It's also really good for cleaning the air in the room. This is what the smudge is really wonderful for. I love it when they do a science to figure out why we're doing what we're doing, because oftentimes, it'll prove things we've done for thousands of years. So when we smudge, it actually cleans the air. So they tested a room before and after smudging, and it cleaned airborne toxins like viruses, bacteria, fungus, like 98% of them. It pH balanced the air in the room, so it was actually healthier to breathe, and it actually ionized the air, so it made it more energetic to breathe. So love that. So I'm going to smudge with that. Did I already pull it out? No, I didn't. Okay. I tend to use matches just because they're slightly more natural. I mean, I'm not going to rub together like a, oh no, really? Oh, why? Why are you like that? Okay, that one didn't like. There we go. So if you don't have matches and all you have is a lighter, what you could do is just light like a stick or like a sage stem to light it, but try to avoid actually putting the lighter to the medicine because you want it to light naturally like it would. Okay. And you notice I fan it with my hand. I never blow on it because our breath is our life and our life is precious, and I don't waste that for anybody. Usually I have a feather, but whenever I have a feather, it doesn't last. I have cats. So, clean my hands, so anything that I'm carrying I get rid of. Bring it over my body 4 times. So I honor the 4 directions in my body. Again, this is just the way that I smudge. Everybody has different ways of smudging. And everybody has different things to say, or sometimes you can just do it silently. And I smudge my mind so I can be open to learn all of the things, all of the wonderful things that I can. I smudge my ears so I can be open to hear all the messages that Creator sends me. I'm very thankful for my hearing this lifetime. So I can hear all of the beautiful things that surround me. I smudge my eyes so I can see clearly, have clear vision. I'm very thankful for my vision this lifetime, but also so I can see all of the beauty that surrounds me and honor it in a good way. I smudge my nose so I can smell danger and cookies. I smudge my mouth so I can speak true and kind words that are helpful and benefit mankind. So always asking if it's truthful, is it helpful, is it kind, is it respectful? If it's none of those things, don't say it, don't do it. I smudge my throat because I'm very thankful for my voice this lifetime, so I can continue to give voice to the voiceless, and so I can continue to sing in a good way, because that's the gift that Creator's gifted me to, which I'm very thankful for. Smudge my lungs so I breathe good, clean air. I know that whenever the leaves get really crunchy, I get really wheezy, so I honor my asthma. I'm hoping that it heals a little bit better. I gotta boil some cedar and breathe it in tonight. I smudge my heart so I can remember to be kind and compassionate and show unconditional love to all those people that cross my path, and also to myself. Smudge my stomach so all of the food that I eat this day will nourish my body. And I smudge my womanhood because I'm very thankful to be a woman and a mother in this time, although I am a two-spirit woman, so I sometimes occupy both that masculine and feminine role. I'm still a mother, and I honor the vessel that Creator's put me in this lifetime. I smudge my shoulders and my back so I can carry all of the responsibilities that Creator's gifted me with grace and humility. I smudge my arms and my hands so I can do the good work Creator's put me here to do. And then I smudge my legs so I can walk this red road in a good way. That's the path of Aboriginal spirituality. And I'm going to smudge my feet so I stay grounded and connected to Mother Earth. I'm treading lightly upon her, honoring her with every step. And then if there's anywhere else in your body that you need a little extra love, so my hips are very, very sore from all the marching and way too much driving I've done over the last 3 weeks. It's been pretty crazy. So I smudge that. And I also, smudge my back because it's still a little sore. But I'm also holding different people in my heart. So if you want to send love or appreciation, or someone's really struggling or hurting, just hold them in your heart. Even if you're just thinking about them and you miss them, you can hold them in your heart and just send them that love. We can use smudge to smudge our pets or babies or people who are not well enough to smudge. And so we'll do that to share it with them. And then when you're all done, you can say hi or miigwech or merci. However you say thank you in your language is important, because your language is a part of you. And I'm slowly hoping to recover my language a little bit more. I really think it's an important aspect for everything that we need to share, is really reclaiming that. I've reclaimed a lot of my culture, but I think my language is going to be one of those that's really pushes everything that I do over the edge. So I'm very, very thankful for that, and I'm thankful for the teachers as they come forward. So hi. That being said, I'm going to talk a little bit about this drum before I drum on it. So this is amazing. This is a drum. Oops, there we go. This is a drum that Sam has created. So this is one of my drums, and it is done in Algonquin style. So if you look, you can see it kind of goes across, and then into the center. And so the Algonquin teaches us how to let things go. It teaches us that if we have too much stuff that we're carrying, we can never move forward, because the Algonquin were like the masters of the portage. So they always knew exactly where they were going and how to get there, but they had to pick up their boats, go to the next body of water, and put it back down. And so they knew if they had too much stuff, not only would it be really, really, really heavy to carry, and it would be more of a burden to carry it to move forward, but also you wouldn't have space for more. You wouldn't have space for more of the hides and more of the things to trade. And so they teach us that in our own lives, sometimes we have to let things go to be able to move forward. Because if we're carrying too much stuff, especially stuff that's not ours, then where is our stuff going to go? Where's all those new opportunities and, new gifts going to go? And so we have to just let them go. And that's really what it teaches us. It also teaches us that during the portage, you have to have someone to rely on. So it's someone that you can talk about stuff with, but not take on their stuff, if that makes sense. And so they had to be able to rely and trust in someone. And the ones that were not not the most social, sometimes they struggled a little bit more with what they could bring back to their nation, or what they could even, do themselves. Sometimes they would get themselves into pickles. So it really teaches us that sometimes we do have to rely on someone, and that's okay. But also rely on the people that you know you can trust, and not the ones that drag you down the river. So that's why that drum. And so the beautiful, beautiful hummingbird on it. I love hummingbirds. They're very, very playful, the hummingbird, and they really teach us to enjoy those brief moments, because they're only around for a short period of time, and they're very, very tiny. And so those little moments, there's so much like little pieces of joy that sometimes we'll almost miss if we're too busy focusing on the big picture. So it teaches us about really honoring those small details, those teeny tiny things, not just the bigger picture, but those teeny tiny things that can really lighten and brighten our day. Because that's what they do. I mean, they've got teeny tiny eggs, they're teeny tiny little things, but they have so much joy in just the way they zip around and the way they move, and even that hum that they have. All of them have different hums depending on, how long their wings are, just slightly different tones in their hums. And so it teaches us about the joy of really expressing that, and expressing ourselves, and expressing those tiny moments of joy in such a beautiful way. A story that I know, well, actually, this is what I experienced. So I lived in Arizona. Again, I made some bad decisions in my 20s, but when I was there, I still smoked, but I would wake up early because we had fruit trees in our yard. So I had like a grapefruit tree and an orange tree and an apple tree, or not an apple tree, lemon and lime. Had a whole bunch of citrus trees in my yard, and they would bloom beautifully. And so whenever they would bloom, I would actually set my alarm early, and I would wake up at 5:30 as the sun was coming up, and I would watch, because there's just like this rush of all of these beautiful, adorable little hummingbirds that would come into the yard, and they would eat from all of the flowers, but they were also really curious. So I would sit there and I would be smoking, and they would just come up and they would watch me, and sometimes they would come really close, and I would hear like that really high pitched. It was amazing. And then I would sometimes blow smoke rings. And there was one in particular, and every time I would do it, he would look at it, and then he'd come closer and closer. And I don't know if they just got used to me being there every morning, but eventually he started playing with them. So I would blow a smoke ring, and he would jump through, and then I would blow another, and he would go through. It was like the craziest thing. I never knew they did that. So, but it reminded me of those little things that brought me joy. And even though it was a very hard time for me when I was there, it really showed me that I could get through anything as long as I was looking at those tiny pieces of joy. I could rise above everything that was happening, and that's what I did. And so after the season was done, I left. And so, yeah, that's what they inspire you to do, to look at those beautiful little things and just take so much joy. And so with that being said, I'm actually going to share the laughing song, because I love this song. And I feel weird playing on a drum that's painted, but I'll tell you about this drum in a minute. Listen, so this is the laughing song. Way high yo, way high, high yo, way ho, way ho, why yo, way ho, way ho, way, way, oh, way, oh, way, oh. Way high yo, way high, high yo, way ho, why yo, way ho, way ho, way, way, oh, way, oh, way, oh. Way high yo, way high, high yo, way ho, why yo, way ho, way ho, way, way, oh, way, oh, way, oh. Way high yo, way high, high yo, way ho, why yo, way ho, way, way, oh, way, oh, way, oh. Way high yo, way high, high yo, way ho, why yo, way ho, way Sam had made it, and we are going to auction it off. I'm going to find the best place to auction it off. And when we do, part of the money is going to be going back to Sam and I to create more, and then all of the extra is going to be going to different events, things like Sisters in Spirit for Owatan, things like the Valentine's Day Memorial March, but also events like Book Aches as well, because those events, they create awareness and they really create community. They teach us that, you know, we all matter, we're all in this together, and we can share, you know, in not only our anguishes, but in our successes. And this is what we need to do. We need to rise above lateral violence, because that's not ours to carry. We can move forward and have a better day. But also that we have to work together in our community to make it a better place. It's not just one person's responsibility, it's everybody's responsibility. And so even if we can contribute by creating art to create, you know, more funding for these beautiful events that happen every year, I think that's so important to continue to share those messages in a beautiful and meaningful way. So yeah, so this is that beautiful, beautiful thing. And I love the birch trees on the back here. It's just stunning. It's just absolutely stunning. Sam is an incredible artist, so I'm going to tag him in this video afterwards, but just a phenomenal, phenomenal piece. And I'm looking forward, I gave him another drum, so I'm looking forward to seeing how that one turns out as well. So he's very intuitive when he paints, and I appreciate that, because I'm very intuitive when I sing as well. So it's good when intuitive artists work together. So that being said, I'm afraid to drum on it more. Like, it's absolutely beautiful. So I'm going to put it away, and I'm going to grab my drum, and then I'm going to share another song. So collaborations can be awesome. And what the heck? Okay, I have no idea how I have part of a noodle packet in my drum, but it's happened. All right, so another song that I'd like to share with you. I was thinking a lot about this one. This is the grandfather song. So it's not just grandfather, it's like a thank you song to, you know, our ancestors. So it's like, thank you to grandmother, thank you to grandfather, thank you to you know, creator. It's just a beautiful song. So it's a Miigwech song, and I'd heard it originally from Jessica Sparvia McMahon, but then I heard it another time from this wonderful, wonderful Anishinaabe elder, and I was like, oh, I know that song, so I started singing. He's like, well, if you know that song, then it knows you, so carry it. I'm like, okay, but I always had that hesitation of, should I share songs that, you know, haven't officially been gifted, and I think it's important to acknowledge where those songs come from, and that's how you know you're doing it in a good way. So thanks, Jessie. And thank you, Elder Eldon. And so this is the Thank You Grandparent song. Miigwech nagal maho nasak, Miigwech nagal manoko masak, Miigwech nagal hey hey nak nak, oh hey oh hey oh hey. Oh hey, 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 oh hey. Miigwech nagal maho nasak, Miigwech nagal manoko masak, Miigwech nagal hey hey nak nak, oh hey, oh hey, oh hey. Oh hey, 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 oh hey. Miigwech nagal maho nasak, Miigwech nagal manoko masak, Miigwech nagal hey hey nak nak, oh hey, oh hey, oh hey. Oh hey, 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 oh hey. Miigwech nagal maho nasak, Miigwech nagal manoko masak, Miigwech nagal hey hey nak nak, oh hey, oh hey, oh hey. Oh hey, 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 oh hey. sip of water. I'm going to share another song. So this weekend, I'll be marching with Sandra Many Feathers, and she's just amazing. She's just such an inspiration. And the first drum I ever made, I actually gifted to her, and it was just full circle. This is how I knew this was the path that I would need it to be on. And so just as for Jackie, is for her, it's for her sister, it's for her family. And it's so important that we just keep all of our families front of mind when they're struggling, when they're trying to get justice. But this song, she taught me, and also Stephanie English taught me this song. So this is a Blackfoot song. This is the only Blackfoot song I know, and it's such a blessing to be able to share this song. I love sharing it with kids because it shows, you know, how important it is to tell people that we love them and that we appreciate them, because you never know when they're going to be gone, but they're always with us. And so even I always tell my kids, even if I might be mad at you, I still love you. And I still appreciate you because I appreciate the lessons that you teach me by making me crazy. But this song is Gitsikakomen, the I Love You song. And it's also from Olivia Manitopes, or no, Olivia Tailfeathers, my bad. No, their song is from Olivia Manitopes. But yeah, it just teaches us really to love and appreciate each other, and also love and appreciate where we are, our place in time. You know, our home, which is Mohinstis, Mother Earth, which sustains us and provides for us, you know, and really ourselves as well. So sometimes we forget to love ourselves, and it's really about how are we supposed to grow if we don't love ourselves. And so this is the I Love You song. So it's Gitsikakomen. That's the only words, you can sing along easy. Gitsikakomen, everyone. Gitsikakomen, everyone. Gitsikakomen, everyone. Gitsikakomen. That song, it's so fun. And so I wanted to share the chickadee song because I learned the chickadee story, and I just wanted to share it because it's kind of dark. But you know, German fairy tales, they're very dark. But, well, you know, some of our fairy tales are a little dark. So, you can tell it was kind of written by a parent. So, the story goes, there was a man and his wife, and he had 3 kids. He had 2 boys and a girl. And they all went hunting. And this year in particular, he did so well that he maybe got a little too much food. And so he had to make 2 trips to bring all of what he had harvested back to his village. And so he knew that bringing the kids, they were a little, it would just be too much. So they needed to stay back and they needed to watch the food and just protect it. But at least he knew that the food was there for the kids so they wouldn't starve, and he would be right back. He would only be back in a couple days. And so he left them to their own devices, and he told them all, don't wander off, stay together. Don't wander off, stay together. Don't walk under the full moon, he said to his daughter, and don't walk under the highest sun. During the day, he said to his boys. And so, but of course, kids don't listen. So he had gone and with his wife, and they had hauled all of their stuff back to their village, and they knew it was a 2-day trip. 1 day there, 1 day back. And so as they were there, the kids started getting bored. And of course the boys started waiting, until the midday sun had passed. And so they started playing in the stream, and their little sister was playing with them too. But she started to get a little bored, started wandering off. But of course, she would love to play hide and seek, and they already knew all of her hiding spots. And so they would find her every time. And then they came back and they ate some food, and then they went back into the teepee, and then they were like, okay, we'll have a sleep. But she was super curious, and so she woke up and in the middle of the night, and the moon was so high. It was so high that it looked like it was just almost daylight on the ground. And so she, who was prone to wandering, decided to leave. And as she left, her feet started to feel lighter and lighter and lighter on the ground. And she looked up, and the moon was at its highest point, and it was so shiny and so bright. And as she looked up, her eyes got wider and wider and wider. And as she walked on the earth, her feet got lighter and lighter and lighter, until she forgot who she was, and she soared up into a tree and became an owl, always asking, who am I? Who am I? And forgot her life. And then the next morning, when the boys woke up, they looked around, and their sister was nowhere to be seen. And so they went back and they tried to be like, well, where did she go? Where did she possibly go? And so they were looking and looking and looking all over, and they couldn't see her. None of her usual hiding spaces they could find her, and they couldn't find her footprints or anything. And so they were like, well, let's go back and let's eat, because it's almost about to be midday. The sun's going to be at its highest. We can't keep looking. And so they went back and they ate what they could. But the other brother said, you know what? We should go and look for her. And the eldest brother, who wanted to stay put, said, no, we can't. Father told us we can't go out in the sun, in the bright, when it's at its highest. And the little one was like, nope, I'm going. We've got to find our sister before our father gets back, or he's going to be mad. And so he wandered off. And then, of course, the eldest brother went to follow his little brother. And as they did, they got warmer and warmer. And as they got warm, they started to just shake off all of the sweat. And they were trying to cool themselves down with a fan that they had. And they continued to flap and flap and flap. And they started to feel lighter and lighter and lighter in the midday sun. And they felt like they were shrinking in the midday sun, because it was so, so hot. And as they looked up, their eyes got very, very tiny. And then they started to soar up into the tree. And as they tried to talk to each other, their voices were different. Their voices were changed. They always waited for each other to finish speaking, but they had a very different voice indeed. And they called out for their sister, "Tick-a-dee-dee-dee," but they couldn't find her. "Cheeseburger," but they couldn't find her. But they knew that they were different. And so they went back to the camp to tell their father, because they could hear his footsteps. And so he was looking frantically all over the camp for his children. And then he saw these teeny tiny little birds jump down and start picking at the meat. And he said, shoo, shoo, little birds. But then he realized those were his children. And he wondered where his daughter was. And so he slept that night with his wife, and they were so sad that their sons had not listened and had turned into something completely different in the sun. And then when they woke up at night, they could hear a very loud woo-hoo, woo-hoo. And as they came out, they saw these big, beautiful eyes staring down at them. And they knew that was their girl. Sadly, they packed up, and they knew if their children had listened, they wouldn't have become the chickadee and the owl. They moved forward, and still now to this day, the chickadee's voice changes in the end of the year and the end of the season, always looking for their sisters. And the owls go more melancholy as the fall approaches. And so that is the story of the chickadee and the owl. And so I wanted to share the chickadee song before we go. So this song we usually do is a call and response. So if you got it, you can go. Might get a little out of breath because usually I have a pause in between. But here we go. Hop the oh ho ho, 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 hop the oh hop the oh ho ho, hop the oh hop the oh ho ho, hop the oh ho ho, way ah ho, way ah ho. Chimagwitch, thank you so much for joining me this week. Yes, please do take a look on my Facebook for the picture of the drum, and we'll figure out details on how to live auction or silent auction that off. I guess kind of a live auction? I'm not sure. I'm sure it'll be fine. But also, event details for this Saturday. And if I don't talk to anyone before that, have a very wonderful, we say Thanksgiving. So I know sometimes Thanksgiving has this really negative connotation. So the way Canadians celebrate Thanksgiving is different than Americans celebrating Thanksgiving. So Americans, when they celebrate it, they honor like Christopher Columbus and they honor the Pilgrims. But the whole reason the Pilgrims are still alive was because of the Indigenous people. And so they should be thanking us. But also here in Canada, it gives us a holiday, which is awesome, but it's not about that colonial aspect. It's about honoring the fact that we are all still here, we are all still connected, we are all still honoring our communities and our language. And it's really about being present and being thankful for who we are and where we are. Don't let the colonial aspect kind of filter in, but really look at it more of, we're still here and you're welcome for the beautiful world that we live in, because a lot of it is, from the work of Indigenous people and reminding us that we're all Indigenous to somewhere. So it's really about how do we deeply connect to the land and how do we deeply connect to each other and how do we live in gratitude, not just one day a year, but every day of the year. That is one of the hugest teachings, is every day of the year we have something to be thankful for. Whether it just be our life and our breath and our sacred breath that we all share, whether it be some of the people that are in our lives, whether it be the ability to walk. When I had all those hip surgeries and I was in the hospital for 6 months at a time not being able to walk, I was so thankful. I'm still so thankful that I can walk now, because it was hard. It was hard not being able to walk. It was hard not being able to be independent like I usually am, but also it was hard not being home. And so every day I'm thankful that I'm home and that I have a beautiful family, even if they make me a little crazy sometimes, but I'm thankful for that. And so it's really about being present and mindful and seeing where we've gone, what we've gone through, and being thankful for where we are now. So hi everybody. Much love, and hopefully you have a wonderful turkey day. I mean, come on, I love food, so even if it's just small gathering this year, it's still time that we get to spend with our families. So hi everybody, love you, bye. I'm sorry for crying.